Welcome to my live. It's the live channel in the world going down in the minute word. Just getting ready. Sweeping. I try to keep the house clean. I just got this house like not that long ago, so I try to keep it clean. It ain't really too much. I gotta pull the carpets up pretty much and lay some new flooring down, but it ain't hard. Shout out to everybody, everybody vibing. Everybody vibing. Check this out. Now, this right here, one of my prized possessions. As you see, it's just a regular, I guess, Bible case. But yeah. This is what I practice. This is my Bible. This is what I read. It's the Obey Bible. That's what I practice. My family is from Belize City, Belize. That's where my last name Flowers come from. My other half, my dad is from Cuba, so it's Caribbean, And I'll read a chapter out of it real quick. Let me see. Which chapter would be good for it to understand? Hold on real quick. See, it'd be different if I knew what people wanted to know, but and it goes a lot deeper than this. Like, I got spiritual experiences, but let me see. Actually, I know a good chapter that I could read y'all. Let me find it real quick. It's a chapter on the soul. Let me find it real quick, y'all. My bad. Should have been prepared. Hold up. 1 second. Let me find it. I got y'all. Okay. 1 second. I got y'all. 1 second. Like I said, this is the Obey Bible. I'm gonna just read a chapter. Alright. Right. Okay, hold on. Almost there. I'm like, why can't I find this sometimes? Sometimes I look for this chapter. This is one of my favorite chapters. Is speaking on the soul. Okay. This chapter in the Obey Bible, this chapter is the soul. The soul means a semi-material spirit, an essence or form which is neither material in the common acception of the term, nor pure spirit. It is like everything else in the universe, a form of will. So it's saying the soul is the form of will, okay? It may be with or without any intelligence. So the soul can be with intelligent or without intelligence. Usually it means the connecting link between spirit and body, but there are beings who belong entirely to the realm of the soul and have no such bodies as are commonly called material. It may be said that the soul is a certain state of activity of the will, and the same may be said of the physical body, for if we look at the universe as being a manifestation of will and motion, then all forms and objects that we know of or which we can imagine are certain vibrations of will. So this is talking about the soul. If everybody just tuning in, just read about it. Okay? Excuse that music if you hear it. Thus, we may look upon physical nature as being constituted at a low order of vibration, upon the soul as a higher octave. So basically, like in the Dig of the Trinity, the body, the soul, and the spirit. The soul vibrates at a higher vibration than the physical body. So it says, thus we may look upon physical nature as being constituted as a low order of vibrations, upon the soul as a higher octave for the same, and the spirit as being one higher still. If the physical body dies, the lower octave ceases to sound, but the higher one continues and will continue to vibrate as long as it is in contact with the higher. So at death, our body separates. We separate from our body, but our spirit is still attached to our soul. Okay. Then it says, spirit has become, so as long as it is in contact with the highest. But if the spirit has become separated from it, it will sooner or later cease its activity. Thus, if to form the substance of the body of, I don't know that word, in the lower essence, from which the spirit has departed, dissolving astral elements to which they belong, as the earthly dissolves the elements of the earth. Okay. There are two deaths. Now check this out, y'all. This is the Old Bible. There are two deaths, or two separations. The separation of the spirit and soul from the body, and the separation of the spirit from the soul. Or to express it more correctly, of the spiritual form, the merely intellectual and animal soul. So if a person dies a natural death, now this is talking about the afterlife for all the people who want to know about the afterlife, obey. Okay? If a person dies a natural death from old age, his passions have died out during his life. His selfish will have become weak in his mind, like that of a child putting his confidence in his father. His spirit and soul will at that time of his death become free from material bonds and be attracted to a higher zone in the spirit life. Okay? This kind of soul does not enter into communication with mortals because it has no desire for anything earthly. It does not think or speculate about terrestrial things or worry itself about its relatives or friends. So like once it detached yourself, like a lot of people that live spiritual, they detach themselves from material things. And it's saying in this part that if you detach yourself, like literally, like the communication line, like when I talk to my grandpa, it's basically like a shadow that I'm talking to, because like it just was a strong tie during his life. Hold on, let me find my reading real quick. Okay, so such is the fate of those who die a natural death without development, but the condition of those who die prematurely without being regenerated either by their own hands, so if you commit suicide, or by the consequence of some other, differ greatly, because although their souls have become forcibly separated from their bodies, the spirit does not therefore necessarily leave the soul. So when someone's forcibly taken from their body, whether by their own hands or another, the spirit doesn't leave the soul because it feels that the soul needs it. Like during that time, and I'm going to speak more on that, you understand. They remain in such cases human beings like the others, only with the difference that they do not possess a physical body, and they remain in such a state until the time arrives when, according to the law of nature, their own predestination, their physical death should have taken place. So if a person was supposed to die at 75 and they forcefully take themselves out, or someone takes them out, they'll remain close to the earth realm until their time when they were naturally going to die. And that works with illness too. Up to that time, they possess their astral bodies. Such bodies are invisible to those not developed, but they are visible to them and have sensation and perceptive faculties, and they perform in their adults that which they have been in habit performing during life. So that's why, like spirits, we bump elbows with spirits every day. If you get it enough, you'll be able to hear, listen, one of the two. But they roam around basically in the places that they roam around before. And like I'll talk about that later in a different chapter too. They still remain in Earth's sphere and are called lumens. They are still in full possession of their earthly desires and passion. They attempt to satisfy them and are instinctively attracted to persons in whom they find corresponding desires and passions. Now, spirits, if they were alcoholics, if they use drugs, anything of that sort of nature, that's who they cling to, whether they know you or not. They cling to that because they still have the desire to do it. They just don't have a body to feel the sensations. So they are therefore often inclined to instigate such mediumistic persons to the commissions of crimes and or mortalities. Neither can they avoid doing so because by losing their physical bodies, they have also lost the necessary amount of energy and willpower to exercise self-control and to employ their reasoning facilities. They often hunt places where they used to spend their time during life. So, like, say, I don't know, someone was a mechanic for a company and for years, they might roam that place, and say they was alcoholic, they might roam their favorite bar for years until their natural death was occurred. Okay? So, if they have a treasure buried, care for their money may hold them there. Hatred or desire for revenge. So someone is forcefully taken out of their body by someone else, they will cling to this earth realm all through in a matter of revenge. May tie them to their enemies. Love may turn them into vampires. Now I'm gonna talk about vampires because a lot of people look at the movies and they got a misconception of it. And connect them with the object of their passion, provided that there are some elements in a later which will attract them. Because the astral body of an evil person cannot influence the mind of a pure person, neither during life nor death, unless they are naturally connected by some similarity in the mental organization. Now, this is the Obey Bible for everybody tuning in. Under certain circumstances, such human entities may come visible or manifest their presence in some manner. They may appear in bodily shape or remain invisible and produce sounds and noises such as knocks, laughing, whistling, sneezing, howling, groaning, sighing, walking, trampling, throwing stones, and moving articles of furniture or other objects. And all this may be done by them for the purpose of calling the attention of the living. So when you hear, when you hear noises, furniture moving, feel like footsteps, you hear a voice, all this is figuring like all that is to gain the attention of the living, to go into communication. Okay? Calling the attention of the living so they could obtain an opportunity to enter into communication with them. But not the appearance of visitors are caused by apparitions of a ghost or astral body of suicide or victims' accidents, nor by the astral corpse in the dead. But there are other invisible entities that may hunt the house of mortals and may become occasionally visible and tangible to the physical sense if the conditions necessary for such a purpose exist. One of these classes is made up of the being called the Phantomata. I don't really know a lot of these words. It's like some Latin stuff. These ghost-like spirits are nocturnal spirits, having reasoning capacities similar to those of men. They seek to attach themselves to men, especially to such as have little power of self-control and over whom they may gain power. So what this is talking about, like, and this is the Obey Bible, y'all. What it's talking about is when a possession happens, it happens from a person having lack of self-control. Like, if you can't control yourself, another spirit is going to take control of you. Because, like, they keen in on that if you don't have self-control. If you can't control yourself, you steadily get angry, you can't control your emotions, you can't control what you say or do, someone else is going to take control. There are great many kinds of such spirit, good as well as evil ones, and they love to be near men. In this, they are comparable to dogs, who are also found in the company of men, but men can profit nothing from their company. They are empty shadows and are only an encumbrance to him. Okay? They are afraid of red corals as dogs are afraid of whip, but the brown corals attract them. Okay? Just obey by everybody tuning in. Some people believe that such spirits can be driven away with holy water and by burning the incense, but the genuine holy water cannot be had so long as no man is found holy enough to be able to sooner attract evil spirits than drive them away, because all evil spirits are attracted by things that are attracted to the senses. If we wish to drive them away, it will be more reasonable to employ disagreeable odors for such a purpose, more than holy water. That's the myth that is seen on TV. The true and effective power against all evil spirits is the burning of temple incense and the exercise of strong will. Strong will meaning faith. If we love all the source of all good with all our heart, mind, and desire, we may be sure never to fall into the power of evil. But priestly ceremony, the sprinkling of water, and the signing of incarnations are the inventions of cleansing vanity, and they therefore take their origin from the source of all evil. Okay? Ceremonies were initiated originally to give an external form to eternal act. So like when people burning candles, when people making honey jars and all this stuff, it's just external act of what's going happening within. Cause like the real, like if you want to say magic, the real magic happens inside you. Like, and that's why I tell people, like, it might see me make a candle, but that's not it. The real thing is happening inside me. The faith, the imagination, all that stuff is happening inside me. What you've seen is just the external fact. It's just for like giggles, basically. It's just not necessarily giggles, but it's just for a representation of what's going on inside. Okay. So I say external power to perform such acts does not exist in ceremonies. Okay. Another class consists of incubi and succubi, of which writing traditions occur as the manner. Let's get that part. The incubus are male and the succubus are female beings. Okay. Now what it's going through right now, and this is the Old Bible. What it's going through right now is saying different types of spirits, because there's so many spirits around us, and people think it's just our loved ones, and it's not just our loved ones. There's other spirits too. So what this is talking about is the incubus and the succubus, which a lot of people know those two spirits. The incubus are male and the succubus are female beings. They are the outgrowths of a lewd and intense imagination of a man or woman. So an incubus and a succubus occurs when a man or a woman has a strong imagination and concentration on something that's not real, like, you know what I'm saying, masturbation and stuff. And when they pour out their seed, that creates a succubus or incubus. Okay. So after they are formed of the sperm found in the imagination of those who commit the unnatural sin of owning and thought and desire. Coming as it does from the imagination alone, it is no true sperm, but only a corrupted salt, only a seed that enters the organs which nature provides for its development can grow into a body. Okay. So it says, hold on. The sperm coming from the imagination is born. This means the kind of love in which a man may imagine a woman or a woman a man to perform the communal act with the image created in the sphere of his mind. From this act results the explosion of useless fluid, impotent to generate a child, but capable of bringing larvae into existence. Such an imagination is the mother of luxurious and chastity, which, if continued, may render men impotent and women sterile. If you continue to touch yourself, be impotent, sterile. Because much of the true creative and formative power is lost by the frequent exercise of such morbid imagination. Okay? So, such corrupted sperm may be taken away by spirits that wander about at night and who may carry it to a place where they may hatch it out. There are spirits that may perform an actus with it, as may also be done by witches. So witches take the sperm from someone and use it in a spell to basically counterattack or attack someone. Okay. So it says, if such monsters are born from a powerful conscious imagination, the same consciousness will also be created in them. The spirits of the night may use all of that is born from such sperm according to their pleasure, but they can use nothing of a human character or possessing true spirit. Okay? So let's zoom in a bit. Okay? If a woman who has passed beyond the age of fertility and are unchaste and of vivid imagination, they may also call such things into existence. If a person of either sex has lewd desires or active imagination, or if they are passionately in love with another person of the opposite sex and unable to attain the object of their desire, there you go. I got these cats running around. Okay. To prevent such unfortunate occurrences, it is necessary to be chaste, honest, and pure in thought and desire. And whoever is unable to remain so should not remain single. Okay? Imagination is a great power, and if the world knew what strange things might be produced by the power of the imagination, and the public authorities would cause all idle people to go to work and to employ their time in some useful manner, and they would take care of those who are unable to control their own imagination in order that such evil. Okay. Let me zoom in because I'm gonna read this other chapter. Yeah, let me zoom in. I'm gonna read this other chapter real quick. Okay. I want to read the chapter where it talks about okay, here it is. It talks about elementals, and we know some elementals from like different things. Let me turn off this TV real quick. All right. So this chapter right here is talking about the elementals, okay? So let me see where I want to start at. May happen. There are some continuing on to break class. Okay. Okay, I'll just start here. So this is the Obey Bible. Anybody else tuning in? Okay. It says man is an instrument through which all three worlds, the spiritual, the astral, and the elementary world, are acting. In him are beings from all these worlds, reasonable and unreasonable, intelligent and unintelligent creatures. A man without any self-knowledge or self-control is made to act according to the will of these creatures, but the true philosopher acts according to his own will. Okay? Now this is where it's going to talk about the elemental. I don't know for sure if this is the chapter. I believe so. So yeah. So it's a thing called elementals, and we know them as a different name, which are like mermaids, is gnomes, stuff like that. Those are the elementals, but I'm going to break it down in a way that maybe people haven't heard about them, okay? The elementals, okay, there's a class of spirits, the elemental spirits of nature. The elementals are not spirits because they have flesh, blood, and bones. They live in a pregnant offspring. They eat and talk, act and sleep, etc. And consistently, they cannot be properly called spirits. They are beings occupying a place between man and spirits, resembling man and woman in their organization and form, and resembling spirits in the rapidity of their locomotion. They are intermittent beings in composition formed out of two parts joined to one, just as two colors mixed together appear as one color. Okay, so the elementals have no higher principles. They are therefore immortal, and when they die, they perish like animals. Okay, neither water nor fire can injure them. Now I'm gonna skip a little bit and get to what the elementals is. And like I said, this is the Obey Bible. Anybody tuning in? And like I said, there are many different elementals, and I'm gonna get into that now. And a lot of them, like people know them, but they don't know them by these names. Okay, and the elements is air, wind, fire, earth. Okay, so here is what we're gonna do. Okay, they are unlikely to sickness and they die like animals. Their habits resemble those of men. They work and sleep, they eat and drink and make their clothing and are nearest to men. They live in the four elements, the nymph in the element of water, the sylphs and that of the air, the pygmies in the earth, the salamanders and fire. They are also called, and that's somewhere, okay. Each species move only in the element to which it belongs, and neither of them can go out in its appropriate element, which is to them as the air is to us, or the water to the fishes, and none of them can live in an element belonging to another class. Okay? So now I'm gonna break down these different elements, okay? Break down these different elements. This is the Obey Bible. Anybody else tuning in? Okay. The four classes of nature spirits do not mix with each other. The gnomes have no intercourse with the Udines or salamanders, vice versa, okay? In the same sense, I'm going to zoom down so it breaks down them more in a sense, okay? Okay. As far as the personalities of the elementals are concerned, it may be said that those belonging to the elements of water resemble human beings of either sex. Those of the air are greater and stronger, and salamanders are long, clean, and dry. The pygmies are the length of about 2 spans, but they may extend or elongate their forms until they appear like giants. The elementals of air and water, the simps and nymphs, are kindly disposed towards men. Okay? Like, that's why a lot of people, they talk about getting kidnapped by mermaids. Those are the nymphs. And I'm going to talk about that too. Okay? Hopefully this music ain't doing too much. Okay? So nymphs have their residence in palaces of the element of water. Simps and salamanders have no fixed dwellings. On the whole, the elementals have a aversion against self-conceited and opinionated persons such as dogmas, scientists, drunkards, okay? Men lives in hereditary elements. The elements live in hereditary elements. They have drillings, clothing, manners, costumes, language, and governments of their own, and in the same sense as the bees have their queens and herds of animals, okay? So the nymphs have been known to adopt human shape, clothing, manner, and to enter in union with men. So this is talking about basically mermaids. They are known to enter into basically wedding ceremonies with men, okay? There are certain localities where large numbers of elementals live together, and it's occurred that man has been admitted into their communities and lived with them for a while, and that they have become visible and tangible to him, okay? The spirits are invisible to many, but nevertheless, a spirit may appear to our physical sight. And likewise, man is invisible to the spirits of nature, and what the Udines know of us is to them merely what fairy tales are to us, okay? So, this is what it says, okay? The nymphs, I'm going to just say mermaids, just so people know what it's talking about. The mermaids sometimes come out of the water and may be seen sitting on the shore. Hey, y'all. Constantly got to tell these cats. Shore near the drilling. And they, as well as the gnomes, have a language like men. But the spirits of the woods are more rough and speak nothing, although they are able to speak and are clever. The nymphs appear in human form and clothing, but the spirits of the fire are a fiery shape. They are usually not to be found in company of men, okay? Now, I'm going to skip this chapter, but yeah, it breaks down the elements, and this is the Obey Bible. It breaks down the different elements. I'm going to skip to another chapter that maybe people find interesting. I could talk about a lot of more of this stuff in depth. I could read a chapter, talk about it more in depth too, if need be. I'm going to skip to this chapter because lately on the news, it was talking about vampires and how a black nun from Missouri, I believe, her body was dug up after like 10 years and like it still looked like it was blood flowing through. That's a case of vampirism, and a lot of people don't understand that, but I'm talking about that too real quickly. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. This chapter is called The Call Up Souls of the Dead, okay? By the things which have been spoken elsewhere, okay? Hold on, where I'm going to start at with this. There are 2 kinds of calling up the dead, okay? Raising the carcass, which is not done without blood. The other is which calling up of the shadow only suffices. To conclude, it works all its experiments by carcasses of the slain and their bones and members, and what is formed them. From there is these things a spiritual power friendly to them. Therefore, they easily allure the flowing down of wicked spirits by the reason of similitude and properties of every familiar human and terrestrial thing, okay? So I'm going to zoom in, okay? The witches easily abuse them for effecting witchcraft, alluring these unhappy souls, people that's trapped here until their natural death occurs, a witch allure them to these carcasses to trap them, okay? Some parts therefore compelling them of their devilish charms by entreating them by their deformed carcasses dispersed through the wild fields and the wandering shadows of those who want burials, and by the ghosts sent back, the ghost of hell, who ultimately death has precipitated into hell. Okay, so basically, there's two ways to call up the dead: one by blood, and one by just calling up the shadow. Okay, so with that said, I want to read this vampire. I don't know what the time is on this, but I want to read this vampire section so we could get a feel for that as far as vampires go. Because a lot of people are so misconformed about it, and like a lot of people, like if you know about Haiti and like what they consider the zombies, those are basically vampires. Like, and a lot of people, like once I read this chapter, you understand a little bit more. But those are basically vampires. Those are people that they have went to their grave and raised them up, but they actually raised them up. Like Haitian zombies is for real. Let me read this vampire thing. I need to like bookmark some of this stuff, to be honest. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see. It's so much in this book, but this is just the foundation, really. This is just the foundation of spirituality. Like, this isn't a religious book, like it's just the foundation. So like you take from whatever book and you promote it into your life, into what your own understanding is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like this is just a foundation, but you have to naturally communicate with spirits to understand the ways that you want to do and the ways that you want to use the knowledge that you gain, you know? So like, let me see. Trying to find this. I'm gonna have to be more prepared next time, because I do not see this vampire thing. This is what I'm gonna just leave you with. I'll do the vampire another time, but this is what I'm gonna leave you with. Real quick, hold on. For the instruction, but let me see. Actually, yeah, I can't seem to find the vampire part. I'm gonna have to do a live about that at a different time. I have to become more organized with this. So yeah, this is the Obey Bible. Like I said, it's just a foundation, and it just helps you understand everything spiritual in a different manner. And it's just a foundation. Like I said, like you have to talk with spirit to gain your own understanding of your knowledge and your experiences, and put it together. And this will help you. If you got a foundation, this will help you gain even more solid foundation, y'all. All right. So yeah, let me see. So yeah, this is the Obey Bible.